Welcome to the Curated Beauty Podcast. Jessica Christie here, a health and beauty enthusiast who became a medical practitioner to be the authority on how to enhance both your outer beauty and inner beauty for the most confident glow. Founding and owning a multi-million-dollar aesthetic medical practice in Michigan, my mission is to bring all the bi-coastal innovations to the fresh coast of Michigan. From which aesthetic treatment gives you the most bang for your buck to how to create systems to be both professionally fulfilled and still have freedom of time and relationships, we will be diving into it all. Welcome back to the Curated Beauty Podcast. I am so thrilled to be hosting a guest today and not just rambling on all alone. Today, we have someone very near and dear to our hearts and a strategic partnership that I really don't think that my business would be even close to what it is without this company. I am here with Amber Edwards, who is the global head of Alastin Skincare, and she has been such an elemental person in helping bring beauty culture along with their crazy growing brand. They have year after year been the fastest growing skincare brand, and they have a commitment to innovating and bringing the best to the market in things that have not been done before. And I appreciate not only their products, but the people that they bring along with them. And those people have really become who I think of when I think of those who have taught me how to step into partnerships and leverage the business aspects to really be able to ultimately give my patients and my customers, in other words, the best case scenario in terms of what we offer and what our bottom line is. So I want to definitely introduce you to this guest, Amber. I want to mention that she's worn many hats and had many roles in this industry. We're lucky to be in this aesthetic industry, and she's been the president of North America at Sinclair Pharma, the VP of International Strategic Marketing at Allergan, which is another big partnership of mine, and we definitely connected over the love for that big company. She returned to the US after there was a folding of a division, and it was really great to be able to speak with her about how she gracefully handled that. And then it ultimately led her back to starting with Alastin as the chief commercial officer. And now, boom, through a pandemic and an acquisition with Galderma, she's now standing here as a global head of Alastin Skincare, like I mentioned. And I just am kind of a little bit starstruck and a little at a loss for words to welcome such an amazing guest so early in on our podcast. Amber, I would love to hear you speak to your role and a little bit about what you do with Alastin. Global head sounds like a really big thing. And I think a lot of us in this med spa industry probably don't even really know what you do other than run around and do a lot. Welcome.
Thank you so much. That's what it feels like. You just described it, running around and doing a lot. Definitely. Well, first of all, thank you. And a huge congratulations to you on the launch of this podcast. I can't think of a better person in terms of qualifications, but also just personality to be launching something like this. And I'm honored to be one of your early guests. So thank you for that. And it's been such an amazing partnership. And I know we can talk so much about what we've learned about each other and how we've grown together and all of that. It's been so much fun. But yeah, you captured kind of my journey perfectly. And I think I've really lived and just believed that everything really does happen for a reason, because I never in a million years thought that I would be in the skincare space. Honestly, I came from a more traditional prescription pharma background, and I've just been open to ideas and opportunities. And you mentioned the folding of something. COVID was obviously something that rocked all of our worlds, and not everything always turned out as I thought it would be perfect at the time, but it led me to this. So, which has opened up all sorts of new opportunities. And I guess in a nutshell, what the global head means is basically my job, my role is from an Alastin standpoint to really drive the strategic growth and innovation and make sure that we're continuing to be known for the value that we bring through our products and our services and our people. But also a big goal of mine right now is global expansion. So we are very much in the process right now of launching in other markets. It's been a labor of love, but it's coming to fruition very quickly right now. So that's exciting. But from a Galderma perspective, you mentioned we were acquired by Galderma at the end of 2021. And it's just been a really great synergistic fit with the broader Galderma culture and portfolio of treatment options. I think Alastin kind of filled in that missing piece. We're the missing piece of the puzzle, as we like to say. And so the other big part of my job is integration, is really making sure that Alastin fits nicely and that we're identifying synergies and ultimately how can we be a better provider and partner to our healthcare professional partners.
Yeah. I just think about how lucky Galderma was to acquire such an amazing skincare company. I think that either retrospectively or at the time, everyone will be just super jealous that they were the ones that got you guys. It is, but I agree with you. It's almost, I know that probably didn't seem like that at all times with everyone on the team, but it's just seemed like a really easy synergistic movement. And I think that your customers really appreciate that too, because obviously even us were sitting back thinking, oh, how is this going to change what we've built so far? And so I really want to talk in this podcast about the importance of strategic partnerships in the aesthetic industry. I really did not grasp how major that whole concept is when I opened my practice. I was just reading a business book that probably many people have read. It's called The E-Myth, and it speaks about how there's a technician, like you start a business because you're really good at doing something. So that was me. I was like, I'm really good at injecting, so I'm just going to start this business. And then you step into the manager role and you're doing some of those things and you have no idea what you're doing. And then hopefully you launch into the entrepreneurship. But I didn't know what it really meant to partner alongside someone in other companies and like really how important that was. I would love to hear you kind of speak to what some of the key benefits are of a great strategic partnership, specifically in the medical spa or aesthetic practice space.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. I'm going to have to look that up, the E-Myth, but I think any entrepreneur learns pretty quickly that you can't do it alone. You can be really, really good at something, but it does take partnerships. It does take support. And I think for us, the reason that we ended up as part of Galderma started as a partnership with them. When they were launching some of the products within the fantastic Restylane portfolio of dermal fillers, they recognized that we have products that actually help support the procedure space and can help patients heal faster and reduce downtime. So even that relationship, that acquisition started as a strategic partnership. So it can go anywhere. But in terms of where it relates to med spas or practices, I think that's where, it's rare. First of all, I'll say it's rare to find opportunities where that partnership can come to fruition because most people have blinders on and are thinking about, I need to do this, I need to do this. And when you can actually sit back, and something I've loved about you and Will so much is that you've always said, how can we make this better? Let's learn together. How can we really come together and make this a better thing? And that's key. And when you find somebody who really wants to embrace you and embrace that and let you in and actually has that learning mindset of how can we learn from each other, it's a game changer. It's such a game changer because we learn from you as much as you learn from us all the time. And I think that's only just beginning.
I couldn't agree more. It's funny because Will, my husband, he is the one who really recommended that we bring Alastin skincare in. When we started our practice, obviously you have a very small budget to you aren't able to bring in mass quantities of all of these different types of products and different fillers and skincare, and not to mention devices. And it was really funny because I was sending people down the road to a different plastic surgery office to purchase Hydratint. And it was because I purchased it there and I loved it. And I was like, oh my gosh, here, turn right on Telegraph, go down to Woodward. And when he found out that I was doing that, he was like, what are you doing? Like, you own a business now, like, let's make this work for all of us. And it was, at that moment where I said, we just want to have this one product but show us what else you have. We were missing a post-procedure thing. And the birth of Alastin skincare was also based on that in the baby skin nectar, and you guys have just obviously built this innovative, expansive line of not only procedure, but also amazing standalone daily skincare. And being a science person, I think that I wanted to know if it worked for everyone, and obviously low side effect profile or allergenicity to products and the non-comedogenic aspect. And it was really honestly just positioned to us in such a way to show us that all of those boxes that we needed to check were there. Mm-hmm. And then I also just really appreciated that high touch experience with Dr. Alan Woodrow. He's just been amazing at continuing to innovate with all of the products that you guys have. And I just really appreciate that you guys don't bring anything to market that's really been done before. It's always something that not only benefits your company because it's new and innovative technology, but also gives us something to market to our patients, because our patients are such amazing consumers and they know and they do their research. You mentioned learning from each other. I think that that's such a good core value. And I think that that's something that I look for when I align with team members or strategic partnerships. I think we definitely share that. What do you guys look for in terms of Alastin and Galderma in general, maybe in terms of who you align with? I feel like you probably vet your Alastin accounts really well to make sure that you have that symbiosis and that you can really help someone.
Yeah.
What would be
absolutely. First of all, I have to say shout out to Will as a thank you for him setting you on the right track. And Hydrotin is such a great gateway product because it's an addictive, amazing product. But you're right. We're all about procedures kind of to start. That's what put Alastin on the map, is the scientific rigor and credibility specifically around skin that's vulnerable, right? I mean, that is, just for anyone on the podcast who probably doesn't know, you mentioned Dr. Alan Woodrow. Dr. Woodrow he's a world-renowned wound healing expert from South Africa. That has been his life's passion, is wound healing. And he brought that science and that vision to skincare in a really unique way, where he said, people are getting procedures, they're getting lasers, they're getting things that are really making their skin vulnerable. And there's nothing out there that's been designed specifically with ingredients very carefully curated to create that healing platform, that ability to help skin recover more quickly. So that's, really the crux of who we are. And I think when we're looking for partners, we want to make sure that fits. So you asked who our perfect partner is criteria-wise. I think one of the most important attributes to me, and you just bring this in spades, Jessica, is authenticity. When they're just using your product because they feel like they have to, or, whatever, it doesn't carry the same weight. And my favorite partners are the people that the passion and authentic love and belief in the products just comes through. And I think the first time I ever heard of you was somebody told me to look at your Instagram page. And I saw your videos and I was like, I need to know this woman. I need to know her in some way, because your belief and your love of everything you do comes through. So I think authenticity is one. The other big criteria, and this is a no-brainer, is it can't be a one-sided partnership. That's not a partnership. That doesn't work. If it's one side just saying, I need this from you, that's just never going to work, right? And I think what is critical to us is a mindset going in of, how do we make this a win-win? How do we create a partnership that really does benefit both sides? How is beauty culture going to benefit and grow? How is Alastin going to benefit and grow? And you and your entire team, I mean, I have to shout out Caitlin as well. The whole team are just so great at coming to us with ideas, of sitting down at the table. There's a lot of respect and mutual respect. There's never this feeling of, you're just a vendor that's supposed to do something for me. You know what I mean? It's fun. We love working with you because it's fun.
Yeah, that is actually so palpable that we feel that way. And it's kind of, honestly, the whole start to this was during COVID. We were shut down. And then I have this brand new business, and I'm trying to pay all of my employees, and I'm taking basically like QVC online orders. Like, let me help you with this whole Zoom boom thing that we have. What can you do at home during this incredibly scary time. And you guys came to the rescue, gave us this huge shipment of all the things. I set him up. I started recording videos. And I actually have to admit, I never fully embraced or even really believed in how much skincare does, because it's really 80% of what we do. And, it's the whole concept of skincare is like you're brushing your teeth at home and flossing. And then these treatments in office are going to the dentist and getting your teeth cleaned. And you would never not do the former. And so I think that as we kind of came onto the scene and people started watching me just like wash my face, because that's all I could show you how to do at that time, and started buying the products one by one, that was a huge pivotal point for our business. And the other thing is you guys paid attention to that, even though I was just this one girl out in the Midwest. And there was obviously expansive growth. And you guys were really amazing at shifting and scaling and saying, wow, we can see your investment. And yeah, I can speak to that investment for sure. If I could eat Alastin skincare, I would do that. We just renovated our house. And one of the first things I did when the bathrooms needed to be stocked with all the bathroom things is I took a gentle cleanser for each of my showers. I made sure that there's an ultra nourishing moisturizer. And my kids, like I have little kids and they'll go into my bathroom. They're like, I just need some soothe and protect,
oh my gosh.
They are trained the right way. It's never too early. But I just think that it's important to speak to how your company was so able, not only in the shifting and scaling with a small business, but then through an acquisition. Can you speak to kind of how the facets of that and what that looks like internally and, the care that you guys took to make sure that we did well through that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the biggest thing was even getting acquired by a much larger company. I think even Galderma has really respected the culture that we've built and the way that we like to work. We truly consider ourselves a kind of a small, scrappy family. And the relationships that we have with our partners are everything. So that's critical. And when COVID hit, very quickly realized that practices were going to be shutting down. Patients couldn't go. But to your point, they still need skincare, right? What you're doing in between your procedures is every bit as important as the procedure itself. And so the team, and I can't take any credit, it's a fantastic team here, recognized this opportunity to create these vanity URLs, a microsite for every single one of our accounts. Very quickly created 2,500 at the time URLs and said, hey, if you want to put this on your website or put it in your social media or whatever, your patients can still order skincare. We will actually do all the shipping. We'll do the fulfillment. You'll get credit. We'll make sure that it's a true benefit for you. And you really embraced that. And I think that you mentioned it being a pivotal point. You also were an incredible case study for us to say, look, guys, you're missing out to other accounts. Like you're missing out if you're not taking advantage of this. This is a huge, huge opportunity for you to basically have passive income, passive revenue, right? We're taking care of all the logistics, but it's also great for your patients. It keeps your patients loyal to skincare and taking care of themselves.
Absolutely. It can almost make you emotional because your business could go one way or the other. And I have to tell you that microsite, it's not the first skincare company that I worked with that had a microsite concept, but the ease in which you could utilize this, no one is going to sit there and fill out some long form to be able to get into a personal portal. And maybe they will. It depends on how much you want something. But when you're introducing something and you're just laying in bed watching passively like whatever Netflix show and clicking through shopping, I mean, consumer behavior, we're all consumers. And if it's easy, I'm going to buy it. Yeah. The worst thing that ever happened was like Apple Pay and that I didn't have to get out of bed and go get my credit card. But it's also amazing because it's put some really great pieces in my closet. But when this was just so easy to not only implement, I even had my rep at one point, she said, I was checking your microsite and I think you missed something and it's not linking to your account. And the care for someone to take the time out to make sure that we're getting credit and that their accounts are doing okay, when luckily their jobs were maintained. But like it was a scary time, and to make sure that a practice is really, I mean, of course, she wanted us to do well, but that just spoke volumes of your team and the culture. And then beyond that, I mean, we just never imagined that passive income really becoming what it was. And I will share that beauty culture has now crossed over into the threshold of revenue monthly of $100,000 in just Alastin skincare sales. And it is now no longer just that little rainy day fund to maybe buy little things here and there or invest in educational opportunities. It's a massive revenue source for us. And I think that people just don't really fully grasp what it can look like for their practice.
Yeah. And you really take advantage of the resources that we try to provide, right? We really try to be thoughtful in the resources we create, but you'd be amazed how many accounts just don't utilize it. They say, oh, you know what, we'll do our own thing. And we try to make it really easy. And I think that something that's made this partnership great is you guys really, every promotion that we do, you're promoting it through your microsite as well. You're basically taking all of the resources that we give you and you use them. And I think that's been really critical for both sides too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that hits it home for sure. And I also think that my patients look forward to that. They recognize that you guys give back to them as well, that you're passionate about them trying other products that they want to try, but that there has to be some sort of incentive. And so I just appreciate that so much. I also think that it's really helped us improve the quality of care for patients. I really have observed from you guys a very similar philosophy in it's a patient experience. And so when we look back even at the traditional erbium lasers, which are great, but there's a lot of move and shift and innovation toward that patient experience being less downtime and socially being able to interact sooner, but still wanting these amazing services. And I really appreciate kind of checking all of the boxes in terms of procedural care and the daily skincare in such an innovative way that really transforms the skin.
Yeah, and to that experience piece, I think something that's really interesting, traditional skincare, it's on the shelf, right? It's something that you take home and you use at home. And I think where we've really tried to shift the paradigm is with this procedure care space, you have product in the treatment room. So the patient experience is actually starting right then and there. When they get their procedure, you're washing their face with gentle cleanser. You're putting the moisturizer. You're using nectar on the spot. You're using transform on the spot. So they buy into it. They believe in it because you're actually using it as part of the procedure, right? So right away, they're like, oh, wow, my provider must think this is really important because she's actually putting it on me while I'm still sitting in the chair. And that just right there makes it a different level of importance to them and makes them want to purchase it and take it home and continue it once they go home. So I think that experience actually starts in the chair before they ever buy it and take it home.
Oh, yeah. And we use verbiage like you finish a Sculptra and lip filler, and my assistant is already ready with Skin Nectar and Enhance. And from the back bar, she's pumping and I'm showing them how to massage. I'm telling them things like, I'm giving you your first dose of the post-care treatment that you're going to use. And it's verbiage that tells them this is part of the treatment. It's part of the experience. A lot of times we'll bundle things together because it's a part of our built-in cost, but when you're paying for an outcome, why are we giving someone an opportunity to have a subpar result when we can enhance that with just this amazing educational experience of what it's doing, but also we're giving them that's what people are looking for. They're looking
and
for
to your point, what's most important to us is that we've actually proven it. I have to plug because just science is so important to us that we have, everything that we do and we create starts with gene expression in a lab. Then it goes into histology. So biopsies, seeing what it actually does in the skin. And then we actually do clinical trials. And we just had our 42nd publication in a peer-reviewed clinical journal. And I'd say 95% of skincare companies don't have a single clinical study, right? So that is something we're really proud of. But I think that's really important to your patients too, is to know that this has been thoroughly studied. It's not just a fun, extra, take it or leave it cosmetic. It's actually something that is proven and is going to overall help you, whether it's in recovery or procedure optimization or just daily rejuvenation.
Yeah, that's so interesting because when HA came out and it started to be more heavily marketed, we're lucky that we get early experience things with you guys. But what I do, and to remind people that this is a field of medicine, I actually just shared my post today. I had a physician that I was training and she wasn't trying to be negative at all. She said, when did you stop being a PA? And I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't. This is a field of medicine and I respectfully treat it as such. And when people say things like that, it empowers me to bring that whole element of education to the forefront. So here's me looking up published papers for HA Immerse when it launched. And I found, here's Alan Woodrow and Dr. Fabi, like everyone, HA Immerse in vitro. And then here's our clinical studies, and measuring those things so quantitatively and qualifying it as well. But that visual interpretation to a patient that it actually works means so much to me. And in fact, I have put other companies that have approached me to the test, and I've asked them to provide me with resources for these things, and they just can't. And so not only those things, but you guys also really have been amazing at bringing things like fireside chats and webinars and little educational opportunities that you can have your team do and check boxes that they recognize the science and that they're well trained on it, because all of that's going to trickle down to the patient. And we really want to emulate that for our patients as well. I want to impact my team, and then I want them to go be able to impact our patients. And so I really appreciate that whole quality care.
Yeah, well, and we love you've been a part of that. I mean, education is at the core of everything. And whether it's going to your practice or to any practice and educating the staff, or doing, events like one that you just participated in, these ambassador events where we're bringing 100 to 200 estheticians and nurse practitioners and PAs, from all over the place together, and actually just having, a fireside chat where you can just have an open conversation about, well, what is the science? Do they work? Who's the best patient for it? What's going to be the best candidate? How do you talk to people about it? All of that. And, it's been fun for us to evolve our relationship with you from someone that we were partnering at the practice level to now actually having you go out and kind of share your story and share what you've learned with other practices too.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to tell you, my husband, he always says, like, our sinks are right next to each other. And for several days in a row, as he's using the resurface, I'm like, it's like twice a week. But he's like, this is the best product they've come out with, the exfoliating polish. People are obsessed. Yeah. And who knew that we needed another exfoliating?
I know, but it's the immediate gratification of that. I'm convinced it's the immediate, it just feels so darn good right away that everyone's like, can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
But yes, tell him 2 to 3 times a week. Slow down.
I know, right? Oh my goodness. At least he's replacing that with all of the other good stuff and making sure that he doesn't compromise his skin barrier. I would love to hear the future of partnerships. We've kind of embarked on this really special partnership. I think that you guys have really rewarded us and given us kind of, like I said, early experience, a chance to be able to speak to other practices about how this has worked so well, which I appreciate because it's given our team more awareness. And I love celebrating, for example, you mentioned Caitlin on our team. She's our skincare girl, but now she's impacting our other team members like Christina. She's selling things we don't even have. We didn't even have enough ultralight moisturizer. And she's like, well, we're going to ship it to them. And I was like, okay, great. We're going to get on ordering that. But I think it would be great to explain how the future partnerships and how the partnership will continue to benefit both companies, mine and obviously Galderma, and the patients, with integrating all of those amazing products and being super candid about how they can impact and benefit everyone.
I think in a number of ways, and I don't even know the whole future, because one of the things that makes this fun is that we're always learning, right? So you're the one talking to patients every day. So we're constantly looking for your input, your insights, your advice. What are you hearing? What are the concerns that are out there? We're proud that we have a pretty small line. We have less than 20 products, and that's because we don't want to bring anything to the market that's not really unique, but you'll let us know, oh, here's a gap. Here's something I think that you should be thinking about. But also, as just the world of digital, you've embraced the digital ecosystem in such a big way, whether it's through social or through podcasts or through just how you're interacting with consumers. And I don't think we've even scratched the surface on that yet. We really haven't. I would say healthcare in general, healthcare manufacturers in general are like 20 years behind the times when it comes to anything digital, technology-wise. So I'm looking forward to figuring out, how do we really evolve into a better technological space? How do we become more partner-friendly? But I think the other place where, to me, what I get most excited about is, how do we elevate training? Yeah. So any and all ideas, you've just built this incredible training center within beauty culture, and you're bringing people in, and, how do we really become part of that? How is it, because we do want skincare and procedures to go hand in hand. So it should all come together. And so I don't think we've even scratched the surface on how this can continue to evolve. But those are just a few of the areas that I get excited about. And then, clearly having you involved as we're thinking about what new products do we bring to market.
Yeah, that's been a really exciting component of it. And there are little things that I share. Everyone on your team comes to mind. I think about Ram and being such a founding member in education and talking to us about how when people leave your office and they get something done, the market research shows that within 24 hours, I think it's like 83% of them are in a department store looking to invest in something to maintain that result. And then there's Jen Gamble on your team who is like, she's like, have you ever tried Hydrotin on your legs when you're wearing a skirt? And I'm like, no. And then I have Cindy, who she is in Arizona. I reached out to her because with this training spot, I just am doing my thing. And I'm like, okay, and now here, reach for the Enhance. And we're going to put this on our patient after we do this lip filler or Botox. And they're like, well, where do we get that? And I'm like, which resource do I give them? Like my local rep, And she's like, this is the one you put. And so, they get this resource list when they leave. And it's just so nice to be able to have those people to reach out to say, who do they call? And you guys always have just an amazing answer for that. And I really, really appreciate that. I think that just to highlight the importance of communication, I think that you guys have just made it really easy for us to come to the table with any either scary things or changes. Obviously, no one likes change, but being able to really to tell you guys what we're feeling and have you guys shift and turn. And you guys have always come up with creative solutions. And I really, really appreciate that. And I would love to hear you kind of speak to that high level of personalization that you guys clearly must have a core value for within the company.
Yeah, I think just making sure that relationships are true and that there's trust and credibility and accountability is a major, major value of ours. And I think you see that. I mean, your local team, you have Jackie, who's the best, and Wendy, and you mentioned Cindy and Ram, and they're all coming together. But it is a major, I think things aren't always perfect and they're not always easy. And there's going to be glitches and there's going to be things that don't go well that we wish were going better. And that's just part of business. And I think when you have a really good, open, trusting relationship, you can just be real and you can say, hey, maybe we screwed up on something, or maybe there's an environmental situation that we can't control. And a good, strong relationship, you're going to work through that and you're going to get stronger on the other side of it too. So I think that's something really important to us and that we've treasured in, working with you. But also you guys have brought ideas to us that we never considered. I mean, like I said earlier, how you really take even the things we're doing at a corporate level, you'll call and say, hey, we'd like to implement this in our practice at the practice level. Can you tell us how, or can you provide some imagery, or can you've given us ideas too. So I think that's how we grow together, is to keep having those conversations and just stay close and keep talking.
Yeah. Well, I just have to say, I thank your entire team for the level of professionalism. And, a lot of it you can't fake or create. It just is what it is. That's what core values are. They just are who you are. And I'm just incredibly grateful for this partnership. And it really feels like a big sister and, this company that can tell you, we've been here, we've navigated this. Because I think that a huge part of it is watching these businesses that are literally new babies in infancy go through things where you're like, I know that that's going to be okay. And I know that you are feeling like it's not, but it will. And just so graciously handling us. And I bleed Alastin. It's just really been such a turning point in my life as an entrepreneur and a business owner. And I couldn't be more grateful. I would love to hear how listeners could maybe find out a little bit more about having a partnership with Alastin if they are in a medical aesthetic or regenerative medicine type of a practice and would feel that they would benefit from a brand like Alastin.
Yeah, absolutely. We love working with healthcare professionals, anybody doing procedures, especially reaching out through our website, alastin.com. We have 80 sales reps now who are out there too. So hopefully everyone's heard from us at some point, but just be willing to sit down with us and let us brainstorm together. And I think that's where the magic really happens, is we don't ever want to have a cookie cutter approach. That doesn't work. The first step is to sit down and say, tell me about your practice demographics. What types of procedures are you doing? What's the age demographic of your patients? And then let us brainstorm with you what a truly customized setup and situation might look like. And maybe you start with a few products and then you open up a microsite where they can access more. I mean, there's so many different ways that we can work with our partners that we're really open to. Just first step is sitting down and just learning about each other. And then it can really go from there. So, it's been fun. I loved actually visiting your practice and getting to meet and see the people and learn how you guys do things. And it's very insightful for me as well. And we love the opportunity to bring that to other practices too.
I love that. Well, I couldn't be more grateful for your time, literally being a global head of this company. I recognize that you have a lot of people pulling in you a lot of different directions. And just this podcast interview speaks volumes to what you guys give us. And I couldn't be more grateful. And I can speak for our entire business in that. So I could go on and name all the people that we work with that I can just name off because they've made such a massive impact. But I just really encourage you guys to just keep doing what you're doing because you're making waves and everybody sees it.
Well, the feeling is completely mutual. We've loved this relationship and I'm excited. Again, I feel like it's just starting. So let's do this again in 2 years and just see where we are.
Yes, that would be amazing. Well, I'm so grateful for your time. I will let you get back to what you're doing. I wish I was with you because I've seen the views from your home in California. But someday I'm going to make it out there soon as well.
Anytime. You're always welcome.
Take care, Amber.
All right. Thank you.
Bye. Congratulations, you have done it. You've reached the end of an episode on the Curated Beauty Podcast and have enriched a part of your self-care by discovering something new. I hope this time together added a little perspective to your day and will ultimately boost your confidence and give you the strength to do all the hard things. As we walk through this journey together, follow our Curated Beauty Podcast. And if this resonated with you, share it with a friend, save the episode, and also follow our social media platforms in the show notes. We love to engage with our listeners on all levels.